if you're struggling to get out of bed every day, you at some point need to know what you can do to help you get out of bed every day. Like it can't be somebody else can't get you out of bed every day. They can help you deal with what you're going through, but you also have to figure it out, right? And
welcome back to the You Need a Counselor podcast. This is a show presented by Heart and Solutions Counseling Agency. We release new episodes every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central and encourage you to batch up that laundry, put away the dishes, plan for the week ahead, or do any other task that might seem daunting while you give our show a listen. You might just be encouraged to call your therapist, connect with this week's guest, or seek out those services you've been considering for a while but haven't made the commitment to yet. If you are in the state of Iowa and are in need of mental or behavioral health counseling, give us a call at 1-800-531-4236. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome back to the You Need a Counselor podcast. My name is Dr. Julie Johnson. I'm the president and founder here at Heart and Solutions Mental Health and Behavioral Health Counseling in Iowa.
And I'm Chrissa Hunt. I am our vice president in charge of the behavioral health department. And this is our podcast, You Need a Counselor. So we are a podcast designed for people curious about counseling, but have barriers keeping them from experiencing the benefits of counseling. Our mission is to share stories about counseling, good, bad, and indifferent, and spread the message that everyone can benefit from mental health and behavioral health counseling services.
So our guest today is a returning guest. We just absolutely love talking to this person. We've got Teresa Carnegie here with us today. And this is Teresa's second episode with us. Her first episode is called Life with Concussion. Teresa has personally experienced much a period of life where there was so much trauma happening, kind of layering onto itself. And utilize that personal experience to really help to channel into writing and helping other people learn how to kind of channel into writing as a healing tool and as a healing method. So Teresa is a writer. She's a published author. She is a self-publishing coach, helping other people who find it cathartic, find it expressively helpful to get that writing out and being able to share that with the world. So welcome, Teresa. Thanks for being here.
hi, thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
We
That was
love
great
having
talking to you guys.
Yeah, we love talking to you. So much that last time we talked about so many things. We didn't get to talk about your writing at all. So tell us about how you got started in writing and in self-publishing and gathered all of the knowledge that you share with other people.
Well, it's something I had left my job and I was, sitting around trying to heal from everything. And I don't do good just sitting around. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll write. No, I've never done writing before, never even thought it was a great pastime, never took a course, never did anything, but it was something I could sit and do on my laptop. And it seemed like a way to get things out. I say that, but as a person who never went really deep into my emotions, I never actually got things out that way. But what it did do was in the beginning, I started up a website and I shared information. So I wrote about things I saw or did or experienced, and it helped get me out of the house at a time where I had gained social anxiety and couldn't leave the house. Um, I shouldn't say couldn't. I could. It just was a struggle for me to leave the house. So this got me, oh, I'm gonna go try out this new place that I've never been to before and have like my favorite thing is hot chocolate. So I'd go find a new place and go for hot chocolate. Or there was like this pie challenge. And so I went to a few places and tried their pie, and just different things like that. And then I would write about it and put it up on this website. Um, and then I ended up, I was on the phone one morning to my mom and I got an email about a flight deal. And it was the email said it was 600 and some dollars for a return flight to Australia. And I live in Vancouver, Canada. So I was just like, wait, what? opened it up. Turned out that was US dollars. So it was 800 and some, but within half an hour, I booked myself a 3 month trip to Australia. And that was great. And I needed it. And I needed to get away because I was in this downward spiral and I really needed like a circuit breaker kind of thing. And for me, that's what that was. And I had friends there that I could, visit and stuff. But once I got there, I still had some of that social anxiety and I still had this whole need for rest. So I found that knowing that I was going to write about stuff got me out more than I think I would have, which helped me, I'm not going to say get better, but it did help me process things that I was dealing with. And it helped me experience new things, which is exactly what I needed to help that, for that circuit breaker. It wasn't just I needed a new location. I actually didn't recognize it at the time, but I needed new experiences to come into my life. And these were, away from my home, but also new experiences. It was a bit of, you know, two things were great, right? So I did that and it helped me read. It helped me, do things. I wrote about things. And then when I came home, um, I ended up being online meeting people. And one woman called me a writer. And I said, "Oh, I'm not a writer. I've never written anything. I'm not professional. I've never gone to school." And she's like, "You have an entire website that says otherwise." And I was like, "Oh, whoa." Like this was just like completely shocking to me that because my whole life I was told I wasn't creative and somebody called me a writer. I'm like, whoa. And then I think it was yeah, there was somebody, so sure, actually, she introduced me to the November NaNoWriMo challenge, where you write a novel in the month of November. And I started going to little gatherings of write-ins, or I guess they're called. And I met like all these interesting people that I never would have met before, the way my life was. And these people had completely different lifestyles than I was used to. And they had imaginations like out there. And I was like, oh, I was used to working with people like 8 hours a day and hanging out with people I worked, and it was all work. It was all how much can you achieve? What are you doing, for goals? It was not using your imagination. It was not going like expanding your mind in that way, right? So it was so exciting to meet all these people. Um, and I never completed a novel. I don't even know if I even got like a chapter, maybe two chapters. I don't know. I did not write a lot for a book, but I did write, and I did keep this group, and I kept going throughout the year to these different write-ins, and I met new people, and I ended up joining a local writing group organization, and it was there that I learned uh, different publishing ways and different things you can do, and that started me. And then I started doing my own research, and I decided to take everything I wrote, going to all these new places and trying the different foods and hot chocolates. I took all of that from my website and put it into a book, and it was like a guidebook for downtown Vancouver dessert places. And that was the one thing I did. And then during that time that I was learning all that, I was also writing, because you meet people and you exchange, and they wrote on my website and I wrote on theirs. So I took a couple articles I had written. So the guidebook actually was my second book. The first book was I took two articles I had written for other people, both about solo female travel, and I put them together in a book, and I hired an editor and I hired a graphic designer to create a cover and learned the whole process, everything I had been researching. I put it into into this book and put it out in the world and made it free for anybody and everybody to download. And it was a really good first experience. And then that allowed me to do the dessert guidebook. Um, and it was the second process experience was a little bit easier. And my third experience was a mental wellness workbook with journal. So it's got like little challenges that get you out doing different things and kind of getting you out of your comfort zone in a gentle way. Um, but yeah, that one was a different experience because that one was my first where it was not an ebook, it was paperback. So, different experiences of my own. And then I started helping other people.
That's so cool. I love how like all of like all three are different like ways to get out of the house. Like you started with like your hot chocolates and the pie and then like expanded to like Australia, big expanded there. And then even now just like the small like wellness workbook even is like getting out of the house tasks. How did you like think of those ideas? Like when you started writing, and I mean, you've said like you liked hot chocolate, so you're like, I'm gonna start doing that. Like, where did that idea come from? How did you decide like that was what you were gonna start writing about and traveling and going to all these places?
I don't know if it was like a conscious thought so much as I didn't know what to do. So I kind of went with what I knew. And I'm a big fan of, I mean, I'm not the best at communication, but I'm a big fan of it. So I try to always be communicative. And so I am a person who, if I experience something and it's amazing, I want to tell everybody about it. Or if I experience something and I did not have a good experience and why, I want others to know in case that benefits them too. And I feel like if we can all share a bit more, it makes life easier for all of us, right? And so that was my idea of the website, was to share information. And then it was like, okay, but what do I have to do? So I actually started with subscription boxes, and because I don't even know how I got started on it, and I just got one, and then I was like, oh, well, I could write about this, tell people about it. And so it was more like it wasn't pre-planned idea. It was more like it just I was in the middle of it going, oh, why don't I do this? Kind of thing. So I was still in my comfort zone. Like the subscription boxes allowed me to do it without leaving my house. And then finding a place to go for hot chocolate or a pastry, that is a comfort zone for me that um, like my comfort eating is, I'm really stressed. Oh, have hot chocolate, or I'll have a cupcake, or, it's not healthy. I totally get it. It's, I'm working on it. But it's it allowed me to go out but still be in my comfort zone to an extent. And then I was like, oh, I just found this amazing place. Does anybody else know about that? I have to tell everybody, kind of thing, right? So it wasn't pre-planned. It was more like in the middle of it. What? Oh, hey.
Absolutely. Well, and social anxiety can show up in so many different ways in us, right? And sometimes that feeling of, okay, I'm having anxiety when I'm talking to people or when I'm around groups of people or I'm outside of my house, my comfort zone, my backyard, sometimes that can feel like, well, do I not like people, or do people with social anxiety not like people? And that's such a misconception about social anxiety. Like the people, and when we have social anxiety, sometimes it can feel like that, right? We can have those days where we're like, I don't like anybody, right? I don't want anybody near me. But it doesn't mean that we don't like people. And I think that your story really highlights that, because the idea of leaving the house, being around people, right, was not something you're looking forward to until you had the component attached to it of, I'm going to go experience this because this could help somebody else. It could help somebody else. So I can still be connected to other people who are in the same situation that I am. We have that in common, and for so many people with social anxiety, that is such a great way. You talked about meeting people online. You talked about meeting people with similar interests. And so National November, right, National Novel Month in November, the Nano, is those are such great examples, because so often with social anxiety, we feel like, well, I don't even know what to say to somebody, like I got to make small talk. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm saying weird things. But when we get together for a purpose, when we get together with, oh, okay, I know what to say because I'm going to talk about my writing and I'm going to ask people about their writing because I'm super interested in it and I'm authentically interested in it. And so it's that like authentic connection that so many people with social anxiety are really desperate to gain, to get. And then we do it through, small talk or, things like that. And then we don't get that feeling and there's anxiety with it. And so we go, what's the point of that? Whereas these examples that you're giving are such great ways to do that, to step out into that and make those connections where, like, no, yeah, I might be going to the hot chocolate place by myself or with my child or with my partner. I might be going and doing that. And I might not talk to anybody in there, but me doing that makes a difference because somebody else is going to find uh, some comfort, in this city. And I think that's so beautiful. And I also think that because you mentioned, oh, I know it's not healthy to have hot chocolate or go to cupcake stands, but man, it's so much healthier to go do those as experiences, right? Than I go to the grocery store and I buy a box of cupcakes because I love cupcakes, right? And I eat them because I'm anxious, or I eat them because it's where that is coming from that really makes the difference on if that feels like it's contributing to our wellness, right? I feel like it contributes to my wellness if I go to a bakery where they're like making the food, right? There's connection with that, but it's not scary to me, right? I can connect with the person making it because I want to eat that food that they've been working on since 4 in the morning, but it doesn't have that social anxiety component to it in the connection. I just think is just beautiful.
I love how you worded that. Thank you. It kind of makes me feel a little better too. Because people like to point out the sugar aspect, and nobody else has pointed out how I did it different by going out, kind of thing, right? But yeah, my social anxiety, like I always thought I was an extrovert. And I am just out there. I am talking to all kinds of people. So when my social anxiety came from, I mean, last time we discussed it, I thought everybody was trying to kill me. So people freaked me out. They scared me because I thought everybody was trying to kill me. That was my panic attack, and anxiety, right? So then I started thinking, oh my gosh, am I an introvert and I just never knew it? Like, oh no. And it was almost like a whole identity thing tied to that. And, you know, we as humans, I don't know why we think there's only one way to connect with people. You have to go out in person and make friends or go out and, you know, do things out. And it's not. And that allowed me to find new ways to connect with people. And it's interesting because I've got people around me who are all like, oh, we have to go out and do this. And I'm like, do you know, I actually know people better who I've met online than I know people here in person. Because in person, we leave it to that simple, we're connecting because we're in person. Whereas when you're online, you try harder to connect with somebody. You actually want to connect with them and learn about them because you're making more of an effort than just pulling up somewhere at a certain time, you know? And I I don't know, I keep trying to tell people this. Like, I know people online a lot better than I know some people in person. And it like you said, it's more authentic because you're choosing who you're spending your time with. And my social, I just told somebody the other day, my social anxiety came out of um, all the stuff that I was dealing with, and it was really strong. And I really struggled some days to leave the house. And the more I got better, that decreased. Now I have healthy boundaries. I'm very particular about who I spend my time with and when I spend my time with people. And it is a choice I make, not an obligation I feel I have to do. And there's no more anxiety. And it's just I'm more picky about the people in my sphere and when. Like if I'm having a day where I need to rest, I'm not going to force myself out to go hang out with somebody or do something with somebody. I'm going to be like, that's not what I need right now. I need to go have a nap, or I need to just come down from this like stressful day and just rest, you know. Um, I really am thinking more about myself in a not in a selfish way, but in a I need to be healthy way. Um, I always try and find the silver lining, and I have to say, like, there's a few silver linings of everything I dealt with and went through, and one of them is I think more about what's better for me and my health than I ever have in my life. And before, I thought I was healthier, but than I am, you know, like I would have thought, looked at me now and went, oh, not healthy. But I'm healthier than I was ever before because of these little things, right?
Yeah, definitely. And well, and you wouldn't have gotten to writing probably either had you not been through traumatic experiences. I would love to know more about like your mental wellness book that you wrote. Can you give us some examples of like those tasks or challenges in the book that people have to do?
Yes, my mental wellness workbook, I created it based on so 2020 was really hard because you know everything shut down. I was alone. And when that was the year I found out all the relationships I thought I had, I didn't actually have. And, you know, I ended up alone and in a really bad headspace. I had COVID right when everything started shutting down. And so there was all that fear. And again, I was alone. Every night I went to bed going, am I going to wake up in the morning? And no one's going to be here to try and wake me up, you know? And I needed groceries. I didn't have anybody, you know, who could bring me grocery, who would bring me groceries, you know, those kinds of things, right? Like it was a lot of stress and it was a lot of struggle. And I decided that I needed to stop relying on other people to help me get through things and rely on myself. And one of the things I did was created a checklist for myself of things to do every day. One was move my body. One was clean something. Some days that clean something was I jumped in the shower. You know, like there were no specifics and it was connect with somebody. So it could have been online, it could have been on Zoom, it could have been phone. It didn't matter. Again, I put no specifics, but there was move my body, clean something, connect with somebody, meditate. Meditate became hugely important. It was very important when I was getting over concussions because that actually is amazing when you're working on for me, it was. I understand it's not always for everybody, but for me, it was super helpful getting through my concussions and panic attacks and stuff. And then, but you kind of let it drop off when you're doing better, right? And by myself, I made sure I meditated every day. So I basically took the checklist and went, that helped me get through one of the hardest, difficult time periods of my life where I lived my worst fear. My worst fear has always been I'll be alone in life. I literally lived through that. So it was something that I thought if I put together in a book, it could help other people. You know, like I'm not the only person who went through a really difficult time, or I'm not the only person who found herself unexpectedly alone, right? Like it was that. And then I remembered, so when I came back from Australia, I think it was that year or the year next, I'm not really sure, but I decided it was January 1st. And I went, you know what? I am going to do every week. I'm going to do something new, try something new, eat something new. I am going to do something new. And it doesn't matter what it is, but it has to be something new. And so I would try like, oh, I'd be in the grocery store and I would try a different vegetable or a different fruit, or I would go to a new park and walk, or I would, you know, go to a new bakery for a hot chocolate. There was always, but every week I had to do something. And it was amazing. I learned how to shoot a rifle. I'm a vegetarian who's never thought I ever wanted to shoot a gun, but it was like, huh, that opportunity presented itself. And I was like, you know, then he brings back that old movie of Jim Carrey's where he had to say yes to everything. And I started doing that. I would be like, my first reaction would be to say no, and then I'd be like, but why? why can't I do this? If I said yes, what's the worst that could happen? So I started doing that. So when I created the book, it was one of those things where um, I just took what I had done that had helped me. And I thought I was just going to do a journal of the checklist that I did, and also writing out my gratitude every at the end of every day. What am I grateful for today? And some days it's harder. Some days it's a simple, I had a hot chocolate. Some days it's, oh, I got in the shower today. I'm so grateful I was able to, those kinds of things, right? Like it doesn't have to be, oh, I won the lottery today. It doesn't have to be big. It can just be sometimes the everyday things you can be grateful for, right? So I put that in. I thought it was just going to be a journal, and as I was creating it, I was like, it just happened where I was like, why don't you wear two different socks this week or today? Like just little things that it is stressful. I get for some people. I mean, I don't like matching my socks because for me, it's fun to have mismatched socks. I love looking down at my feet and having mismatched socks. I love it. Um, and so it's little things, like put on your favorite song this morning and dance while you're getting ready. And maybe do it all week kind of thing. But it also has like checking in with you. What did you experience when you did this week? How did it make you feel? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you do it again? It's really asking you to figure out what helps you, because we rely a lot on external forces, and we need that. I'm not saying we don't, but we also need to take accountability for ourselves. And you need to know what helps you so that you can get work, make progress or do better or, I keep using get better, but I don't really like to use that, and I just keep throwing it out. Um, but it's one of those things that, if you're struggling to get out of bed every day, you at some point need to know what you can do to help you get out of bed every day. Like it can't be um, somebody else can't get you out of bed every day. They can help you deal with what you're going through, but you also have to figure it out, right? And so the workbook is just kind of experiences I had put together to maybe hopefully help somebody else.
We kind of get to a point in our lives where we go, yeah, I know, who I am. I have a sense of who I am. You've talked about identity a lot because identity is so important to us, but it's so much more fluid than I think we think that it is. And so there's this idea that identity is like, that's who we are, and that doesn't change, and our personality is set and all of this. But really, we surprise ourselves all the time if we give ourselves the opportunity to try something new and reflect on how we actually felt about it, not how we were supposed to feel about it or how we thought we would feel about it, but how we actually did feel about it. And you talked about having this identity of feeling like I'm not a creative, I'm not a writer, and then doing things really challenged that idea and that identity. And they did a study once of kindergartners through I think fourth grade, and they said, okay, raise your hand if you're an artist, and almost all of the kindergartners raised their hand, and almost none of them raised their hand in fourth grade, because by that time we've all just been conditioned. You are this way or you are not this way. You're good at sports or you're not good at sports. You're good at art or you're not good at art. And nobody puts us into categories like you enjoy doing art or you don't enjoy doing art. And that's a totally different identity than I'm an artist, I'm not an artist. But I think because, we have a tendency to focus on outcome and product, right? Versus the experience of enjoying it. So if somebody says, oh, well, it's not healthy to go to that new cupcake place and get a cupcake. Okay, that's focused on the outcome though, right? So yeah, if I went there and ate nothing but cupcakes and I only went there every day and ate cupcakes, like, yeah, I'd be unhealthy. But if that was a banana stand and I went there and only ate bananas every day, I would also be unhealthy. So when we focus on the external, like the outcome part of it, of what would happen if I did this all the time, yeah, we come to that's not a healthy thing to do conclusion. Versus if we focus on the experience of doing it, the experience of it, and truly experiencing something like going to that bakery and seeing it made and all of that, when that's the focus, then really we're taking away the focus off of the things that really don't make us feel good about that experience, right? We're taking that focus off of like, how many calories does this have, right? And what would happen if I only ate this every day for all my meals? Well, yeah, it wouldn't be good no matter what the food is. So I just think that that focus on experience and, okay, do I like this or not? And we don't ask ourselves that question. Like we just go like, oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, I'm an extrovert. But we don't go, do I like the extroverted things that I'm doing? Like, do I enjoy that? Or is that a trauma response because I feel that I'm not enough as a human by myself? And so I need people around me to help me and guide me, right? And support me because I can't do it on my own. That's a totally different experience and feeling than I love talking to people, right? They're totally different things. And so what I love is that you are able to say, and throughout your journey, you're saying, okay, this is how I felt like I was, right? Like I feel like I'm not a person who wants to shoot guns. And then, but I'm going to give myself, I'm going to say yes to the opportunity to try that and see if I actually liked it. And for the rest of your life, you're a person who has shot a gun, right? You are a person who has done that. So you're the rest of your life, you don't have to have it be part of your identity of like, I'm too afraid to try that, or I don't know what that feels like to do it. And when you try it, you're now making an active decision every day that you're not shooting a gun, right? It's not, oh, that's just how I am. That's kind of the default. It's like, no, I've done that and I've tried it, and this is how I felt about it. And now I'm making a conscious decision every day that I don't shoot a gun, or every day that I do shoot a gun. I'm making that a decision based on, did I like it or not? How did I feel about it when I had the prompt from the journal to actively reflect on it and be okay with how I felt about it? Like, how I felt about it is the right answer. And so often we change our answer based on what we think other people want us to do.
That is so true. I mean, the not believing I was creative came because I was told I wasn't creative. My whole life I was told I wasn't creative, right? So yeah, we people put us in boxes and we tend to stay there. We don't think we're doing it. I never would have thought I was listening to what other people said about me and following it, but that's exactly what I did. Because those are the little things that help. They eat at your confidence about something, right? It's like oh, okay, yeah, no, I guess I'm not, until you show that you can, until you show yourself. You don't need to show others. You just need to show yourself because you tried it. Like you said, you try something and now it's a conscious thing that you're doing. It's not subconsciously following along what you think. I really love that you pointed that out. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, time went so fast on our episode today. I feel like we could talk to you for a million more episodes, so we're probably going to have you come back. But in the meantime, if you could give a suggestion to somebody on the fence about starting counseling or starting writing, what might be a suggestion that you would give?
I think the hardest part is to do something when you're trying to decide about it. So I would say take little steps. And I think right now, listening to this podcast is a little step. So the next, go with the next step. You've already done the first little step. Try the next step and contact. It's a simple, go through your, Google and, your location and counselors in your location and just read bios, kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know how it works everywhere, make a call or message them and just see if you've got a connection with somebody. Because you might, it's shocking. I've had two different therapists and unbelievably helpful both times. I never would have thought it.
Love that. Excellent advice, and really goes along with everything that you've said today about just taking one step. Taking one step is so valuable, and giving ourselves the time to reflect on how we felt when we were doing it. I think is and that how we felt is valid. How we felt is the answer to would I do this again or not. And I think that's so beautiful and such a validating idea and belief. So thank you so much for being here today. We love having you here. We will definitely have you back again.
I'm Teresa Carnegie, and I need a counselor.
Awesome.
And I'm Chrissa Hunt.
And I'm Julie Johnson, and we need a counselor.
And so do you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Need a Counselor podcast. We are so grateful that you're here. Now, we want to hear from you. Text us or give us a call at 515-650-3231. You can also find and connect with You Need a Counselor on Facebook and Instagram. If you've enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to like, review, or leave a comment, as all of these things help others to find and benefit from the podcast as well. If you're in the state of Iowa and interested in mental health counseling or behavioral health intervention services, give us a call at 800-531-4236.